Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Emily and it has been a long while since I have filmed a video. It has just been February was just it was a month. And I don't even remember now if I filmed a knitting video in January. I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did, but I might not have. So it's been a while. Welcome to today's video. It's gonna I think I'm gonna call it a knit and chat rather than an actual knitting podcast, because I'm not gonna do the whole thing of sharing all of the finished objects and whips and all of that stuff. I'm gonna talk about a couple of knitting projects that I've worked on. I've got one quick little finished object to share with you. So it's sort of a half knitting podcast, but there's going to be a lot of chatting and just kind of catching up and kind of getting back into filming, hopefully. We'll see. But yeah, so let me quickly talk about some knitting stuff and then we'll dive into like the life update. So first off, I have finished knitting the Torrin scarf, which is a pattern that just came out a couple days ago. It was designed by Rebecca of the Creabea podcast. Also, apologies if you can hear some traffic noise and stuff. I've got the windows open because it is the most beautiful spring day outside. So I'm enjoying it. I don't think I had cast this on in my last video. I believe that I mentioned that I was going to need to swatch for it, but I don't think I had cast it on. So I've cast it on and cast it off. And this is just a little scarflet thing. I will probably mostly wear it just as like a little cowl layer, either just tied once or something, or I've seen Rebecca of the Creabea podcast share that you can wear it kind of almost like a tie, if you think about it, by making a knot in one and tucking it in the other. Unfortunately, I don't think that my yarn is quite drapey enough for that to look really good, but I did realize that I could very easily wear it just kind of wrapped around a couple of times, and then either, oh my goodness, my hair has gotten so long. I have not had hair this long in many years. You can just wear it kind of like this. The only issue that I run into when it's tied like this is just that I'm kind of sensitive to stuff too snugly on my neck. It makes me feel like I'm choking, but I can kind of pull it down a little bit looser like that. That's a nice cozy little accessory. Also, I'm still a little bit like congested sick sounding, I think. And I think we're going straight from being sick for half of February to allergy season. So if I sound a little funny, that's why. Anyway, I knit this out of Patton's Croy sock yarn in the plum colorway. The pattern calls for a DK weight yarn, but I had to monkey with things a little bit to get the right gauge. And so I ended up using Patton's Croy DK, which I personally find that I get a DK gauge with the Patton's Croy yarn pretty easily. I swatched with some other stuff to make a sweater, and it was a DK weight sweater, and I got gauge with Patton's Croy yarn. So it's just something to keep in mind. I've definitely made some socks with it before, but it is significantly thicker than the majority of fingering weights that I work with. Yeah. And I knit this on a US size 5, which is a 3.75mm needle, which is one needle size down from what the pattern called for. Again, I am finding that I am a very loose knitter. So I do think that this is a bit more of a rustic feeling, like stiffer fabric than what the pattern was called for. Rebecca, for one of her samples, I think used like 2 strands of mohair held together, and then the other sample was like cashmere. So both of those were like very soft, very drapey, really lovely. And this is going to be very warm and snuggly, so it's going to be perfect for like winter time and fall time. But yeah, so That's the only finished object I have to share with you. I can't remember if I had shared my finished Knitra sweater with you. I'm not going to go get it because it's down in our room where the baby is napping. But in case I didn't share it with you, which I don't think I did. I think I shared it when I was in progress. I'll pop a couple of pictures up here. I finished that in early February. So yeah, I probably didn't share the finished one with you. And I've worn that one a few times. Unfortunately, especially with my postpartum breastfeeding, whatever hormones, and running warmer, we're already getting into the season where I don't really think I'm going to be wearing sweaters much. So it'll probably get packed away pretty soon here to be pulled out next fall, but that's fine. So I also finished that, and then I haven't finished anything else. That's the other reason why I haven't really filmed a podcast, is because I have not really had much knitting time. Hardly at all. And so the things that I've been knitting, like there's been very, very limited amount of knitting that has happened. And so it just really wouldn't be that interesting to film and show that I have nothing that I'm working on. So we're just going to talk about 3 whips, and then I'm going to start doing some knitting and chat with you. I have made a little bit of progress on the sweater. I believe I shared this as a whip previously. This is going to be a sweater for my toddler. I have realized that, again, we're already in spring, and so the likelihood of me finishing this before it is way too warm to wear it are not very high. So my plan is to make sure that I make it nice and long in the body, nice and long in the arms, so that hopefully if he doesn't wear it this season, he'll be able to wear it in fall. But yeah, so I'm just modifying slightly the Tweety Junior pattern by Beta Jezik, I believe it is. She's the lady that runs Hedgehog Fibers. And I say modifying it because basically I use the cast on numbers, but then I just kind of did the raglan increases and tried it on my toddler a couple of times and then stopped increasing when I thought it was right. And then I've done just about an inch or so on the body. And I am using, this is the Ella Ray, like Cozy Soft or something. Yeah, Ella Ray Cozy Soft machine washable wool blend in parrot green and I believe like royal. And it's a blend of 75% acrylic and 25% wool. And I am knitting this on size 6 needles, I believe. US size 6, yeah, 4mm. So there's that. And I think it's going to look so cute and amazing on my toddler. My plan is to knit the body all stripy like this, but then to probably knit the sleeves just plain blue, but we'll see. I might do the whole thing stripy because the way that I've done the stripes, I'm actually just carrying the yarn, so I won't have loads and loads of tails to weave in, which that was intentional. I'm not a huge fan of having to weave in a million tails from striped things. And I think that it's going pretty well. I'm doing like the jogless stripe. So it's like you can definitely still tell where the stripe color changes are, but I don't think it's too stark. So yeah, just kind of pulling this out whenever I can. And then I definitely have a number of different whips on my needles, but again, like I said, I've had hardly any knitting time. But then yesterday I just pulled back out because this is the season for this one. My Tolsta tee, I can't remember if I've ever shared this on the podcast, but I am knitting a Tolsta tee in the DK weight with the F cup bust shaping. And I'm knitting it out of this Lion brand 24/7 cotton, the worsted weight one, which is just 100% mercerized cotton, 186 yards to 100 grams, and yeah, so I'm just using this, and I'm using the magenta colorway, and again, I'm knitting this on size 6 needles, and it's not very true to life. That color's not accurate. It's much pinker. It's reading much more red on my viewfinder on the camera, but it is actually significantly pinker in real life. I'm just looking, it looks like there's a spot where my stitches are a little bit tighter in one section for some reason. But I haven't gotten much done on this. I was working on this last summer for a little while, and then it has just sat in a project bag ever since then. So, but I pulled it back out, and I've worked a few rows on it, and it'd be really fun to get it done. But we'll see if that happens. Like I said, this is the season for like a cotton t-shirt if I was gonna wear one. So we'll see. But and that the Tolsta tee is another pattern from Rebecca of the Creabea podcast. And then part of the reason why I have not been doing loads of knitting is I keep signing up for test knits. But on the other hand, it makes sure that I actually like force myself to knit. So it's sort of a pros and cons situation. But I had signed up. There is a yarn mill in the UK. It's called John Arbon Textiles or something. And it is it's a yarn mill. And I've heard about their yarns a few times from different British, Scottish, English, whatever, podcasters. And Laura Penrose from Penrose Knits had shared on her Instagram that they were doing a test call. She has a design in their issue. I think they do like a magazine issue thing every year. I don't know. I wasn't following them. But she shared that, and in there I saw that they had this pair of like wavy striped crochet mittens, and I was just like, oh, that looks so cool. Like, one of the things that I would love to do this year, next year, at some point, is advance my crocheting skills and do like a garment or something a bit more complex than just blankets in with crocheting. So I was like, oh, this looks really cool. It looked like it was like a really nice feather and fan stitch type of a thing, like feather and fan chevron stitch. And I was like, oh, I would love to do that. So I signed up. And I was accepted for the test knit, and so I was like, okay, that's awesome. And then I was going in to do it, and I couldn't get gauge, and I realized that it was not a simple, like, feather and fan chevron crochet stitch. It was, like, color work, where you have to, like, carry the floats and stuff. And I just, I couldn't get gauge, and I was like, oh, dear. Oh, no. So I got in touch with the people that are running it, the John Arbon people, and was like, hey, I'm not going to be able to do this. I can't get gauge, and I didn't realize that this stitch was not as simple as I was thinking it was going to be. I'm not going to be able to do it. However, if you need somebody to do one of the other patterns in the collection, because there's like 5 or 6 different patterns, I think. There's 2 or 3 shawls, a hat, the mittens, a top, like a t-shirt top, and that might be it. And I was like, if you need somebody, an extra person for one of these, I'd be more than happy to help. And so I switched over, and now I am doing the, it's like the sorry, my voice is still kind of funny. I don't remember the exact name for it, so I'll put it up on the screen. But it's because on the pattern, it's like the textured and striped shawl. It's a design by Natalie. Again, I don't know how to pronounce her name, so it'll be on the screen. It's this really lovely garter stitch shawl that's worked in a modular fashion, where you work one triangle, and then you work another triangle, and then you work another triangle. And I had yarn in my stash, so it all worked out. But let me show you the progress I have on it. I can't show you the finished object once I finish it. I can't show you the complete finished object until August, but I can show you any of the work in progress parts of it that I want to. So here we go. This is where it's at right now. I am working on the first triangle. I'm just about done with it. I think there needs to be 4 stripes of this purple. It looks in my camera like it's really blowing it out, but sometimes it looks like that, but then when I go to edit it, it's fine. So maybe it's not too bad, but I'm using this purple, this blue, and then this pink, and then my main color is this mustardy yellow. And I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be 4 of these like purpley stripes, and I've got 3. So I think I have another pink and another purple stripe, and then I might be done with triangle A and ready to start triangle B. But yeah, it's been pretty fun and pretty mindless to work on. It's really nice because I'm using up some random skeins in my stash that I just didn't know what to do with. Like this purple one is one of my hand-dyed yarns that I hand-dyed years ago now. It may have been close to 10 years now. I don't think it's quite that long. It might be more like 6 or 7 years. I've had it in my stash for ages. I just didn't know what to do with it. And then this pink yarn, I can't remember off the top of my head what it is. It's by my friend Emily of Night Bright Yarn Co. And it's this beautiful, like, variegated tonal pink, which I love. And I can't remember if it's like sea coral or something. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. And I don't have the tag in my bag here. I think it's like back in my yarn area part of the office. And then this blue multicolor one is a yarn that I actually won at the end of last year from Amy of Noble Character Crafts. She hosts the it's a Make 9 Make Along challenge that she's been hosting for a number of years, and she periodically gives out prizes throughout the year, and I happened to win one, and this was a Wonderland Yarns yarn, and I was like, oh, that's really cute, but it's not really, it's kind of bright and pale, and so I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it. Well, then when I switched to doing this shawl, I knew that I had enough of this mustardy yellow, which I can show you better here. This is some of my hand-dyed yarn. I knew I had enough of this to work as the main color, because I needed 2 skeins of the main color and then 1 skein for each of the other colors. So I was like, okay, so I started with this, and then I pulled out several other yarns in my stash, and I was just like, oh, these will all work quite well together. And then it's kind of funny because as I've been knitting on it, I've realized like they work even better together than I thought that they did, because like this multicolored blue yarn has specks and flecks of yellow and pink and purple, so they work really well together. And so my plan is that I'm knitting this as a gift for my sister. I've already told her that I was going to give it to her, since I know she watches this. Hello, sister. And so I'm going to give it to her, but yeah, because I don't wear shawls. I have come to that realization. I don't wear them. But I do enjoy the process of knitting them. I just don't wear them. So I'm going to give it to my sister, and she can have it. She can have it as a snuggly little, throw it over your shoulders when you're reading a book or sewing or whatever. So that's fun. It has been kind of annoying because with the stitch the row repeat, there's a lot of tails, and I've kind of been weaving them in as I've gone. So really I need to pause and do another tail weaving fest, because right now I have just these. I've already woven in all of these. But I was telling my sister that it's one of those things where if I was not test knitting this, I wouldn't knit it because of the stitch, the color changing repeat, because there's all of these, like this single, it's like 2 rows of this pink here, and then here we've got 2 rows of the purple. So for every one of those, you've got 2 tails that you have to weave in. And so the bigger sections aren't as bad because you can just carry the yarn, like, even though it's got the yellow broken in there, you can just carry the yarn over it. So you still have 2 tails for this section, but then you've got these individual little stripes in between, and so there's just a million tails. And I don't love that. I know that that's one of the aspects of the pattern, like that's the whole thing, like it's whatever. But it's not something that I would do if I was not in the test knit for it. Just because it's just a bit fiddly. I think it doesn't add that much to the shawl. You could cut those out and it would be fine. But that's just personal preference. So I'm going to knit on this a little bit, and we're going to do a little bit of a life update on what has been going on. First I need to get a drink of water and check and see what time it is, because I have to get the toddler out at some point here. Whew. We also just had the time change, spring time change, yesterday. And I know many people dislike this time change. And I have always disliked this time change, but since becoming a mother, the time changes have become a whole other source of irritation. It's awful. It's so bad. Whoever came up with it was obviously not a mom. I'm just saying. It just throws everything off. It's the worst. And then it was really sad because my toddler accidentally peed through his diaper in the middle of the night, and so then the toddler and the baby were both up, and then they both wanted mama, so I told my husband just go back to bed, and so then I'm like trying to get them resettled, and I didn't get much sleep last night. Story of my life these days. So, let me just check and see where I am in this pattern. I think I'm done with this blue section. Yep, I'm ready to start a yellow stripe. So I need to get my, just as a side note, Susan from Delightful Works, like 2+ years ago, gifted me a bunch of yarn and project bags and things, which was so generous of her. But one of the things she gifted me was this pouch, and it has become my notions pouch, and I use it. I have used it so much. It is amazing because it's just this little pouch, but it has this little divider tab in it. So I use one half of it for all of my yarn tails, and then the other half is for all of my random like scissors, needles, notions, all of that stuff. And it has been so useful. I love that because I save all of my yarn tails and then I use them for stuffing. And so it's really nice because then as I'm weaving in ends and stuff, I can just clip the tails and toss them in the bag. And then when it gets too full, I empty it out into one of my yarn tail jars. And then I save them up until I need stuffing. But yeah, just a side note, Susan, if you're watching, this has been enormously useful. Thank you so much. Anyway, so January was lovely, fine, pretty normal. I think we had some snow. And then February. We're just going to talk about February because February has been, whew, we're like a week into March at this point, and man. So it started off with February that my baby, who at the time wasn't even 6 months old, learned how to crawl at the beginning of February. And so he was keeping me up half the night with crawling, and then I also realized that he was teething, so then he was keeping me up because he's got that like developmental boost that's happening in his brain because he's learning how to crawl, but then he was also keeping me up half the night nursing because he's teething. So we started off February with that, where I was just so sleep deprived and exhausted all the time. And then my mom and dad and youngest sister came to visit for a weekend, and that was lovely. My dad and my husband got to do some projects and work on things around the house, which is so nice. And then my parents left, and they left my sister with us. She was supposed to stay here for a week because we had a concert that I had bought tickets for my husband and I to go and see a concert for the High Kings, which is an Irish music band, and my mom and my sister were going to be here to watch the boys so that we could go and do that. It was going to be like our first official proper date pretty much since we've had kids, and we were going to leave the kids at home and just do us and do this whole thing. So my sister was going to stay here for the week, and then my mom was going to come back for the weekend for the concert to pick my sister up and then watch the kids so we could go and do that. Well, lo and behold, of course, my husband comes down with this horrible congestion, cough, a whole sickness thing on like Tuesday or Wednesday or something. We were like, okay, well maybe it'll be fine. Maybe we'll be better by the time it's time for the concert on Sunday. We'll see. Well then, of course, my toddler starts coming down with it like Thursday or Friday, and we were like, oh no, here we go. So then he got sick, so then we decided that we were not going to go to the concert, and my dad he's in the military, and he's doing this pretty important school thing for his next promotion, and so we really, really didn't want him to get sick. So we were like, okay, this is fine. We're going to keep my sister for an extra week, and it'll be all good. Well then, of course, like the baby gets sick, and my toddler was sick for like 7 or 8 days, like up and down in the night, and there were multiple nights where both of the boys were up, and of course when babies are sick they just want the mama, and so I just pretty much didn't sleep for yet another 2 or 3 weeks. It was exhausting. It was so bad. Thankfully I never ended up getting particularly sick. My husband and the boys definitely got it way worse than I did, but I was just so sleep deprived and exhausted that my brain function was just not there, and it was just a lot. Like, I'd be up for like the umpteenth time in the night and be like, man, it's only 2 o'clock in the morning. I've still got like 5 hours to go before it's morning time. And just trying to get it like an hour at a time, just get through to the next morning. So I definitely got like some of the congestion and the cough, but then like my baby was sick and he was throwing up because he was getting all of that like phlegm and stuff in his chest and his throat, and he didn't know what to do with it, so then he'd throw up everywhere. And there were a couple of days where he wasn't nursing very well, and he would just have these bad like coughing fits, and it was just a whole thing. And I felt so bad for him because he has no idea what on earth just happened to him. And this is the first proper sickness that we've had since he was born. And then, of course, my poor toddler was really congested and was coughing all over the place. And then he kept waking up in the night because he couldn't breathe properly. And so then he was ending up in the baby's crib next to our bed. So I'd have the toddler on one side and the baby on the other side. And then the toddler was really wanting to, like, snuggle with me while I'm trying to, like, nurse the baby. And it was rough. It was just challenging, and I am endlessly grateful that it so happened that my sister was able to be here. The sickness and her visit coincided because thankfully she didn't really get sick. She got it a little bit, but it wasn't like she didn't even get a cough or anything. She had a little bit of a scratchy sore throat, and her head felt a little bit weird one day, but like that was it. So it wasn't like she got sick too, which I would have felt terrible about that. So she was here, and she was such a help because pretty much every day I was trying to get a nap in at some point during the day, and so she'd be watching the toddler, or she'd hold on to the baby for me so I could put the toddler down for his nap and like all that stuff. So it was so helpful just from the sleep point of view. To have her here. But then it was also really fun because we got to do a bunch of sewing craft stuff, and I was able to help her make a dress, and then we got her another dress cut out, and a skirt, and all that fun stuff. So it was a lot of fun. We got to like just hang out and talk, and it was nice. It was really, really nice. And she played a lot of Stardew Valley, which was also really fun. Because there were a few days there where there was a lot of Stardew Valley and cartoons happening for my toddler because we were all just feeling so icky. So he watched a lot of Little Bear and a lot of Peter Rabbit, and he loved it. But then on the flip side, once we started getting better, we've kind of had to like get him used to our normal schedule where we're not going to watch Peter Rabbit and Little Bear before nap time. So that was kind of fun. But then of course we all got sick, and then after we finally felt better, and then the time change happened, and then all the adjustments that we have to do for that. So it's just been busy. Like honestly, I feel like February was just the month of no sleep for me. Which is another reason why there was just a lack of creative time. Just because I was so exhausted and trying to take naps and doing stuff and taking care of the babies and all of that. So hopefully now that we're into some nicer weather, like the forecast for this next week is supposed to be absolutely stunning. It's supposed to be in like all the 60s and 70s, and we were outside for like 2 or 3 hours this morning. Like it was so nice. So yeah, like I said, the only downside is that now, well, not the only downside, one of the downsides is I need to get some sunscreen for my baby because he has pale skin that he has inherited from his redheaded father. Unlike my toddler, who has my side of the family's skin tone, where it's kind of this like olivey skin tone that doesn't really sunburn easily, the baby has the really pale skin. So I'm going to have to get some sunscreen, which I haven't had to worry about for the last couple of years because my toddler just tans. He turns into a little brown nut boy because he's just, that's what he does. He doesn't sunburn. So I've got to get some sunscreen. But, yeah, so that's kind of what we've been up to. It's been a lot of sickness and lack of sleep, and also just really lovely, cozy spending time at home. While my sister was here, we were playing a board game pretty much every night, which was really, really nice. And yeah, just anticipating the beautiful spring weather that is coming back. I'm so excited for it. I'm feeling... I can feel like my energy coming back. Even though I'm sleep deprived, I still like the sunlight and everything. Like, this is the time of year for like spring cleaning and new resolutions and implementing new things. Like, this is my, you know, beginning of the year, if you will. But yeah, that's that. I'm hoping to do some sort of a I've been going back and forth on whether or not I want to do anything with the Make 9 make along this year, and I'm starting to lean towards the not doing it because I'm going to be trying to pull back from Instagram again for a while. I go back and forth where I'll have seasons where I'm like, oh, I really like this, I really like following along with people, and then I feel like I just get overloaded and I'm just like, ugh, and then I have this period where I just feel kind of weird about being on Instagram, and then I finally go, all right, let's just stay off of Instagram for a while. And then it's really nice, and I go through a period of not being on Instagram at all, and I focus on other things, and it's lovely. And I'm getting to that point where I think I'm going to be taking a significant break from Instagram, and I'd really love to do more blog posts and more videos and focus on that rather than Instagram, and focus on kind of trying to develop friendships more like outside of Instagram. I have a couple of lovely ladies that I've been emailing with, and that has been so nice. It's like pen pals. It's beautiful. And I'd like to do some more vlogs, I think, like some more like homemaking, like mom life sort of vlogs. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, I guess the other thing is too, is like it's spring, and so this year I'm not pregnant, and so I'm hoping to have a garden this year. We planted some strawberry plants. I got just from Walmart. They sold these bundles of like the roots of a strawberry plant, so I just planted those this morning, and I got some pea seeds and some flower seeds, and I'm hoping to do those. I'm hoping to do a little bit of landscaping stuff in our, like, right in front of our front door. The landscaping when we moved in has always bugged me because it's really ugly. But I've been, you know, pregnant and nursing and all of that pretty much since we moved in. Well, I've been pregnant pretty much since we moved in. And so I haven't had the energy to get to it. And so I'm hoping that this year, since I am not pregnant, that I can get to that and dig up all the ugly plants that they have in there and plant some that I actually like. So yeah, it's just a lot of homey, cozy things. And I really want to like lean into that. I'd like to like do some decluttering and sorting through and getting rid of stuff and just make our house even more homey than it already is. I would love, love, love to do that this year. So yes, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. I would love to know what you guys have been working on. I would love to know what plans you have for spring. What are some things that you are looking forward to making this spring, whether that's cooking or sewing or knitting or whatever. But yeah, I'm so glad that I was able to fit this in to do a video update. I'm hoping, like I said, to be able to do some more, but we'll see. Right now, I'm not trying to stick to any too strict of a schedule, just because with my baby at the phase that he is, with crawling and everything, he's just needing a lot more of my attention, and so I have a lot less time. But thank you all so much for following along and being patient with me. I hope that you are having a wonderful beginning to your March, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!